In 2023, Microsoft invested $455 million in a British startup called Builder.ai. Promise? To create entire apps with artificial intelligence as easy as ordering a pizza. The company became the media's darling, attracting Qatar's sovereign wealth fund, getting magazine covers, and its founder, Sakine Dev-Dogal, was seen at Davos posing with billionaires and talking about the future of AI. But in June 2025, it all collapsed. Builder.ai filed for bankruptcy. The numbers didn't add up, and the supposedly revolutionary technology revealed a bizarre secret. There was no artificial intelligence at all. It was all an elaborate act, a mix of marketing, hype, and accounting manipulation. And the question that remains is, how did a scam like this fool giants like Microsoft and elite investors for so long? And more importantly, are we living through the first artificial intelligence bubble? Stay until the end of this video. There are plenty of shocking secrets that you need to know. If you just landed on this video out of nowhere, my name is Chad, and I'm a host here at Zero Markets, and our main goal is to help you become more critical and smarter when it comes to financial markets and investing. Okay, so to understand this story, we need to go back to 2016. So Sakine Dev-Dogal founded Engineer.ai with an ambitious promise to democratize software development. He claimed that anyone, even without knowing how to code, could create an app just by describing what they wanted. And in theory, artificial intelligence would take care of the rest. And in practice, it was the perfect product for a world that wanted to believe the next technological leap had already arrived. But there's an important detail. In 2016, AI still wasn't mature. There were no language models capable of understanding complex commands, nor the automation infrastructure we have today. So how was he promising something so ahead of its time? Simple. By promising more than he could deliver. Even with limited technology, the idea fascinated the investors. Over the years, Engineer.ai changed its name to Builder.ai, and it hired elite public relations agencies and started selling the image of a futuristic company. In 2022, riding the ChatGPT wave, Builder.ai raised $100 million in a round led by Insight Partners. The pitch was irresistible. Our AI builds apps at 70% of the cost of human developers, and during that same period, the world went into a state of euphoria over artificial intelligence. In November 2022, ChatGPT showed the public what previous felt like science fiction. Suddenly, every business wanted to say it used AI. The term became a synonym for innovation and also a golden ticket for raising money. According to PitchBook, the share of global ventures capital going to AI startups jumped from 18% in 2022 to 58% in 2025. In other words, more than half of all the venture capital money on the planet was flowing into AI companies, and many of them with products still in the experimental stage. It was the perfect scenario for a bubble to form. But in Builder.ai's case, the problem was even worse. It wasn't just hype, it was fraud. In 2019, the Wall Street Journal had already raised a red flag. The company's technology did not actually use real AI. The apps were manually developed by programmers in Noida and Bangalore in India. These employees worked in the shadows, and they were instructed never to reveal their location or use typical Indian English expressions in emails. The order was to maintain the illusion that the system was fully automated. Internal messages later revealed executives asking to minimize the visibility of human work. A 2022 memo even stated, literally, our positioning should focus on our proprietary AI. Human work is not part of the story. And that wasn't the only window dressing. Builder.ai was also cooking its books, inflating revenue by 300% through fraudulent practices known as round tripping. The trick consisted of swapping fake invoices with another company, versus innovation, to make it look like there were millions in sales that never existed. In 2024, while telling investors it was generating $220 million in revenue, audits discovered that the real number was just $55 million. And while all of this was happening, Dogal was living the peak of corporate stardom. He attended Davos, and he sponsored events with celebrities, and he was even named Entrepreneur of the Year by EY. Builder.ai was mentioned by the BBC and the Financial Times as a leading example of European innovation. But behind the scenes, company was drowning in debt. It owed $85 million to Amazon, $30 million to Microsoft, and tens of millions to more cloud providers. To try to contain the scandal, it hired a private intelligence agency made up of former Mossad agents and the law firm Quinn Emanuel, known as the most feared in the world. Meanwhile, Dogal was selling his own shares and moving money into personal funds in Hong Kong. Soon after, Builder.ai filed for bankruptcy. And the founder, he moved to Dubai, where he is already raising money for a new AI startup. Yes, once again with AI in the name. Guys, the story of Builder.ai is just a symptom of a bigger phenomenon, the technological herd effect. Every new revolution, the internet, blockchain, the metaverse, and now AI, follows the same cycle. A legitimate technology emerges. The market goes into a frenzy. Capital becomes overly concentrated. And then illusions start to blend with real innovation. Back during the dot-com bubble of 2000, all a company had to do was add .com to its name to attract investment. Today, all it takes is adding .ai. Back then, the NASDAQ index fell 78% after the dot-com crash. Trillions vanished. And in the middle of the wreckage, only the companies with real products, Google, Amazon, eBay, survived and went on to dominate the digital world. The same pattern is now emerging with AI. The excesses are going to collapse, but the companies that truly use artificial intelligence to solve real problems, and not just as a marketing buzzword, will come out stronger. Before wrapping up this story, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like button so YouTube knows you want more videos like this, and subscribe to the Zero Markets channel to stay on top of the financial markets with clarity and intelligence. There's no fluff, there's no empty talk. The Builder.ai case is a brutal reminder, guys. Artificial intelligence is not magic. It's math. AI models are sophisticated, but they're not intelligent in the human sense. They process patterns, they learn from data, and they respond based on probability. The problem is when the public and even investors confuse automation with genius. And hype creates a dangerous environment. Companies that truly innovate start competing for attention with projects that only sell promises. That distorts the market. It slows down genuine innovation, and it fuels the next speculative bubble. But there's another side to it. Real AI is transforming the world, from medical diagnostics to translation systems, from engineering to investing. The difference is that real technology doesn't need to lie. Let me say that again. The difference is that real technology doesn't need to lie. The lesson from Builder.ai is not that all AI is a scam. Of course it's not. The lesson is that in a market driven by euphoria, lack of critical thinking comes at a high cost. Investors, companies, and even consumers need to learn to ask the simplest question. Almost no one asks, what does this technology really do? Because while some sell magic, others are actually building the future. And those who understand this difference will be on the right side of history.